Hi, Colleen Schmidt here from Divination Counseling Service. Today I'm going to present to you the Mars Ingress chart into Aries. So this is a chart about Mars. When Mars comes into Aries, it'll be June 27th, 2020 at 10:16 p.m. This is a really important chart because not only is Mars in Aries representing it's starting a new cycle, Mars is also the strongest here because Mars is ruled by, or Aries is ruled by Mars. So that Aries energy and Mars, they go together. But most importantly, this chart's going to last till the end of the year and beyond. This is a 6-month chart because of the retrograde, which will begin September 9th. That will bring us back through the sign and back through the sign again. So 6 months we'll be looking at the sign of Aries for this run of Mars. So Mars is going to stay in this Aries for a long time, making this a very, very important chart. So with that said, let's look at the chart. So the first thing I want to look at is the actual aspects. So we're going to be going through this. We have a moon opposition, a moon contraparallel. We do have a sextile to Saturn, okay. We also have node squares. We have a trine to Vulcanus, a trine to the midheaven. We have a trine to the descendant and a sextile, which is not listed here, to the ascendant, okay. So with that said, here we are. We have this wonderful second house, which is totally where, Mars is about money. This time is about our worth, but it's also about what we value. And that is what I want to keep in the forefront of our brain. Yes, we're working on money. We're working on the economy. We're always working on the economy. But what's more important in life is also going to come to your attention. What do we value? So this particular Mars in the second house is opposing in the 8th house the moon. The 8th house represents combined resources, the resources of others. It's in this respect, it could even be it could be what if you're going back in business, you're only going to make as much money as the people who are coming in have to spend. That's one. The other part of it is that because we have to do things so differently, and it is a healing because eventually Mars is going to run to Chiron. Although I do want to point out that healing is sometimes painful. So healing can be tough too, but healing is healing and we are on our way for that. That's the good news. The bad news is because the moon is up here in the 8th house and then we have Mars in the 2nd house. It's like we want to increase our own money, but is there money to work with? In other words, you can't earn it if it's not out there. So that's going to be a question. The other question that will happen is related to this cusp of, right here, this cusp, this Neptune here, conjuncting Taureau. Who is it that's trying to get you not to look? This is a smoke and mirror situation here. I'm going to throw a temper tantrum so you don't look over here. Who does that? Well, we know. But in any event, look for it everywhere, not just in the obvious place. It also represents the fact that there could be some information, because of the retrograde, it could be some information coming out about money that will make people angry. And it could have to do with money that was used that would be taxpayer money. That will make people angry. I think we're going to find something out, especially with that Pluto and Jupiter here also in retrograde. I mean, this is, there's a lot in this chart. This is a very powerful chart. So we have that going on. And then the 6th house reminds us with the cusp here of Hades running right on the cusp, 9:12 to 9:17, 5 minutes off. You're talking, we have to understand that daily, a part of our routine, we're dealing with a disease. Okay, this is 6 months because this disease isn't going anywhere. As an astrologer, I really believe it'll be February of 22 till we have a vaccination. There could be some periods in 21 where we do a lot better with it because maybe less people will be dying. There might be more treatments. Right now, however, let's look at this. In this chart, this very serious issue, Orpheus, people are dying. People are dying. We are restricted, and we're going to be very restricted on how much money we can earn. A, because maybe there isn't enough money. Nice trine there, too. Okay? Nice, beautiful trine. I do think there's a lot of love in this chart. There's a lot of anger, a lot of displaced anger. If we can counter it with love, and we could, because of that trine with Venus and the moon, I think we could do better. But the restriction is there. We're limited. We're so limited. Our healing is happening, but it's in small increments. We can only see a few people at a time in part. Things to be worried about would be, let's move to Uranus, which rules this chart. We'll get to the angles of the chart in a second. Uranus rules this chart. Uranus, the planet of freedom, happens to be sitting in the house of neighborhoods and communication. But let's look at Uranus for what it really is. It's unpredictable, it's irrational sometimes, and its need for freedom. And all of those things come out, especially through the press or the communications. But here's a really big thing. Unpredictability can lead to out of control behavior, which is also drug addiction and alcohol and things like that, but out of control behavior, which is self-destructive. That's Aragon. Okay? Please be aware of that. Let's not be too impulsive. Let's not let this Mars energy get out of hand, because the minute we get too impulsive and think our freedom is everything, we are now moving into the range of Aragon. And in Aragon, that's bad, because Aragon is self-destructive behavior. And I think about moving into the future, and I think about moving too quickly, and I think that Aragon is not far enough away from some of these oppositions. You've got some propaganda that could come out in the next 6 months that I think is not going to bode well with people, because I think they're going to realize it with this Orpheus here, and not so much the Orpheus, that's the death, but the out of control behavior, the Ophelia, thank you, Ophelia. And then you've got, and these guys are on the angle, and then you've got this right here, this Aragon, which is suicide. But, think of self-destructive behavior right there with those midheaven points. It's really serious, people. It's really serious. So here we go with Poseidon, opposite Aragon. It's really self-destructive stuff, which also means that some of the stuff that we're going to be finding out could be about stuff that's self-destructive as well. But remember that all of this is not boding well with this Aragon, especially the Poseidon. Not so much the Apollon. I think in business people are trying to do things better, and I'm going to get to that in a minute when I get to the ascendant and descendant. But when you get to the propaganda and the media, I think there's going to be a lot of discussions about self-destructive behaviors. Why? Okay. Well, first of all, because I think what happens down here with what we're going to be finding out, Neptune on that. But I also think that it's going to relate here, where you've got this Uranus ruling the chart, you've got Abundia, you've got Jupiter, Pallas. Jupiter's not really in there. Let's look at Pallas, Saturn, and Abundia. Okay, so there's an abundance of restrictions. There is an abundance of let's be mature, let's be responsible, let's use wisdom, especially discipline. Discipline is the one thing that will really help you with Saturn. But Saturn is, again, reminding us that we are restricted, that we are separated, okay? And remember that across the way then we have this volcanus. We're being forced. Yes, we're being forced to be restricted, but it's, I'm feeling a little angry about the people that are trying to force us to go back out, because we're not ready, and because the disease still exists, and because somebody doesn't wear a mask doesn't mean they don't have to. They do. And I am going to be honest with you, I think there's going to be some surprising things that happen related to that health issue that's going to cause us to send a sense of gloom and doom, gloom and doom, gloom and doom. And this whole thing about industria is only going to lead to we have to start all over again. So it could lead to more shutdowns, okay? And the thing about the shutdowns, okay, is that yes, it limits how much we can make, and I do believe that we are thinking about new ways to make our money, but we have to think about all of this stuff that's going on the descendant. People are still dying, okay? We need to be restricted. We're not healed. We don't have a vaccination. What we need to heal first is how we go about our economy. The old way, won't work. What if we don't have a vaccination until February 22, which is what the astrologers think? Then you need to think of something different. We need to be creative. We need to think outside the box. That's how we're going to heal. And the new things that will come will be greener and better for the earth and for its people. Okay? So we are headed in a good direction, but we are going to have a miserable time getting there. This is a very difficult chart. This is not easy. It won't be easy for any of us. But if we know that it's there, we can work with it. We can understand it. So remember, astrology is a subject that works whether we believe it in or not. The reason we study it is to be forearmed. That's what we're planning to do here. So this disease, a lot of strategy in getting things going, a lot of strategy in restrictions, a lot more work. I've started a business, I've reopened, that I have to clean. Saturn, strategies. Dealing with other people, strategies. But there's a gloom and doom effect because it isn't going to be, hey, we're open, come in for business. It's just not going to be like that. That's not realistic, and we shouldn't think like that. And we shouldn't let our leaders push us to that. But what a person believes will depend on them with right here. Do we believe the bully? Or do we believe what we know we believe in our hearts? Okay? Tough time ahead, but I think that we'll all do really well with it if we just settle into it and use the discipline that we have. We will get through it and will not only survive, we'll succeed in making things even better than they were before. So like, share, comment. Love to hear from you. Until we meet again, happy readings.